I want to bring in immigration attorney David Leopold. David, this all started in Texas. Yesterday, Governor Rick Perry asserted that letting undocumented immigrants stay here in the U.S. is actually worse for them. I want you to listen to this.
Whether it's the right decision from my perspective to immediately deport them, or the short-sighted and tragic decision to essentially turn them loose in the United States. Some may think by allowing them to stay here that it's a more humane option, and I assure you it's not.
So David, what do you think about that?
Well, look, I think that we need to take some sure-footed approaches, and we need to protect these children. I mean, let's look at this in context, Anna. These kids are coming through Mexico. They're coming because of criminal smugglers, drug cartel corridors. These kids arrive hungry. They arrive tired. They've been abused. Many of the young girls have been raped. Our primary purpose as a country should be to protect these children. And how do we best protect them? By stopping that awful flow. Somebody's making a lot of money off that flow. And I think the president this week announced some sure-footed, tough measures to take care of it. We have to protect those kids because, Anna, listen, if we continue to stand by and do nothing while these children are persuaded to come up here, and many of them, by the way, die along the way, are raped, are killed. That poor boy from Guatemala who was found near Texas, all of that will be on us. All of it will be on us as Americans, and we need to stop the flow.
Everybody, I think, can agree that this is a situation that is just a tough one on both sides. Kyung, how are authorities handling that there in California? Have you gotten any word of, if today is the last day that they're bringing people there, or is this something that you anticipate is going to continue?
We've asked that directly to Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, and what they're telling us is that because of what has been happening out here in Murrieta, they don't want to publicize exactly where these migrants will be taking their movements, because everywhere they're going, they're anticipating that this is what people are going to see, and they are concerned about this conflict, this clash between the pro-immigration and pro-migrant group, pro-migrant groups and anti-immigration forces. They are concerned about what happens in these small towns, because what's happening, in order for the federal government to cope with that overcrowding, these are the communities that they're going to, and the communities are saying, frankly, that they want to be involved in the conversation before they arrive here.
So it's in California now. Previously, it was in Arizona. Again, these immigrants are coming, being bused, being flown into different states now because Texas is so overwhelmed by the stream of these immigrants that are coming in from Honduras, Guatemala, other countries in Central America. David, what do you think are the Obama administration's options? I know I've heard the idea floated that maybe an ankle tracking bracelet would be one idea instead of trying to take them to detention centers.
Well, there are plenty of options, but I'd like to point out one thing. Americans, and especially today, when we celebrate America's birthday, we celebrate the welcoming nation that we are, the fabric of our culture, which comes from immigrants from all over the world. It's immigration and good immigrants that made this country. But that said, what's inflaming these people in Murrieta, Georgia? When I see the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, and I see Darrell Issa, representative from California, going down to the border yesterday for a photo op at the border, rather than staying in Washington and working with the president to solve this problem, they're inflaming the GOP House of Representatives by doing nothing on immigration.
But what would be the solution, as opposed to, yeah, we see the politics playing out. What do you think's the solution? Because this has to stop. It's a humanitarian crisis at this point.
Absolutely, and you're right. The solution, number one, is to stop that flow. How do you stop that flow? Number one, you shut down those corridors in Mexico. Number two, you make sure that the information in places like El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras is correct, that there is no permiso, there is no easy stay in the United States when they get up here. Now, we do have to deal with the thousands, tens of thousands of children that are here. And how do we do that? Well, we've got to protect them. So we've got to make sure that they are screened for asylum claims, that they are screened to make sure they're not going to be subject to severe trafficking. And you know, we have people within the Department of Homeland Security. It's called the Asylum Corps. That's what they do. And one suggestion, I think, would be to send them down there to make sure that these kids can be fairly and quickly screened.
All right.
But the lion's share are going to have to go back and be repatriated with their families, family reunification.
David, Leopold, we have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, thanks to Kyung La, continuing to stay on top of this reporting.